All right, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Market Trading. I am your host, Tom Vays. It is almost 10 a.m. We have it's 9:45 in the morning New York time, so we are gonna jump right into it and go to the charts. Maybe a slightly shorter stream. I got a little bit of background noise today, so you don't hear it yet, but you will. I'm a bit in the middle of a construction zone at the moment. I didn't mention it in a couple of days. Those that are interested in trading, check out the Tone Vays website, products and services, on-demand videos, also where you can pick up the MRI indicator. So there you go. If you are interested in paying a little bit for proper trading education, there is also a free section under Learn Trading. All right. Morning from New Zealand. Wow. Must be real late there, no? Bitfarms. Oh, I'm sure Bitfarms crushed it. So upset I'm not in that stock anymore. Well, we're starting to pick a path, and it looks like it's a path to 60K. But let's not count our chickens yet. We'll wait a little bit longer. I would like to be optimistic. Skipping this. Weekly chart. The weekly chart looks absolutely amazing. We got lucky with the fifth candle of the MRI uptrend being a doji candle, which means that at this point, we have almost baked into the cake the fact that an MRI top on a weekly level is coming. That is both good news and bad news. The good news is that once the MRI weekly shows up, I'm going to take a very cautious approach. And of course, the bad news is the MRI weekly is going to show up. Notice how over here, when we started the big rise, we never got to the weekly MRI top. And that really made me extra bullish in the possibility, well, if we haven't gotten to the MRI weekly top back in February, we broke the count after 7 candles. We never made it to that MRI top. So we opened up the possibility of starting a brand new count to make it to the MRI top. So this is both good and bad. MRI tops are amazing for swing traders because they identify a potential top in the market. But by getting that MRI top, you are increasing the probability of a top in the market. Because if the count breaks, you're like, oh, well, in a way, that's a good thing because now you can start a brand new count and you can go up longer and longer. Okay, so I'm going to be talking a lot about the weekly MRI top because we have not had one in years, actually years. The last time we had an MRI weekly top was back in January of 2021. That's how long it's been. And it wasn't even a great MRI top. This was a way better MRI top, which did not really materialize into a reversal. It was a beautiful doji candle after a big uptrend, right at the old all-time high. Everything pointed to a significant correction back in November of 2020, and all we got was a pause in the market, and the green star candle would have told you that, hey, this thing is not correcting. You can just get back into the long trade. And then the pullback was here, which also didn't do much. And then the green star candle tells you to get back into the market. But in any case, the last MRI top candle, which was a second consecutive candle, not even the first. So if you want to match it apples to apples, the last official first MRI top took place in November of 2020. And so it's been over 2.5 years. So you can see why I'm a bit excited as for getting an MRI top. We came close back in November, but we just missed it. I would have called the top in November 21 perfectly had the MRI actually come. We broke the MRI resistance line. I was so sure we're going to at least hit the MRI top. I thought we can have a bit of a blow off top with the MRI because we would have been, so this would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would have been 7. like we should have topped in December of 2021 at a top of, above 75. And then I would have called that top absolutely perfectly. Unfortunately, the market turned a few weeks earlier than I expected. So here we are again, 2.5 years later, potentially making a new MRI top once again. All right. Wow, Australia's awake this morning. Jeez, what's going on? Guys usually asleep at this hour. Allocation chart. Well, looking amazing. The moving averages aren't crossing. We remain 100% bullish. Remember when everyone was making fun of me how late I was to entering this trade? And what was my answer? Rather be late than wrong. And here we are, 100% bullish allocation. Impossible for this trade to lose you money. Absolutely impossible now. We were 20% long here, double down back here. And so if I do an average, this line is no longer needed. If I do an average, right, so there's a 40% entry between these two. So say 19K was the entry, and then that creates a 40% long. So then there was a 60 coming in at 23, so or 24 even. So 19 to 24 is 5. So I would add, but that's a bigger number. So I would add, say, 2. So 21. So at approximately 21K. So my average entry into Bitcoin for a 100% long trade is at $21,000. That's just my ballpark number. I can probably do the math on. I can probably do the math. So it's 20 plus 40. Oh no, I can't do it that way. So we can do the math. What is that? I'm gonna round down to 20. This is 17 and a half. And this is, say, 24. All right, so we can do the math. So it's what do we got here? Oh man, I'm already forgetting. Oh yeah, I said 20,000 plus. Oh, I need parentheses. 20,000 plus 17 and a half plus 17 and a half. Oh, actually, I need 20,000 times 0.2. 20 times 0.2 plus 17 times I get the exact number here. 17 times 0.2, right? 0.2 that's 20%. That's 20%. Man, don't ever do math on live air. Plus 24 times 0.6. Let's see if this comes out right. Probably, I probably screwed up. I'm probably an idiot. Ah, 21.9. Okay, that seems reasonable. That sounds about right. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 21.9. I thought it'd be lower than that. I really thought the number would be lower than that. I really did. Let me try something else here. Hold on. Oh, I'd rather type. I can't type. We're going in here then. I want to do something else. I want to do these two. Math on live air. Don't ever do math on live air. Times 0.4. But I need the average of these. So divided by 2 times 0.4. Right, because 40% of that plus 60% of that. See if it gives me the same number. Yeah, it's the same number. I think that's right. So, Eastside Tony, sub brother. Yeah, so we're gonna say 22. Let's just say 22. I have a feel. I really thought it would be lower than this, but that's okay. Average amount. So I'm gonna put a line here. I'll put a line at 21. Well, I gotta raise it to 22. So that becomes my average long entry, which at the moment, my trade is up 40%. It's not bad. That's not bad. Right. I'm expecting to catch a 10K move. I think we're almost at 32, and that would be an 11K move would give me a 50% gain. So I think it was good for 50%, and then we might take some profit. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That Bitcoin wine is great. Sand Snake. That Bitcoin wine is awesome. I love it. I gotta order more cases of that. Daily chart. We got lucky yesterday because the hour after the candle closed, Bitcoin popped an extra $300. So I really wanted this candle to close as low as possible. And I guess it's okay at 30,400. I was hoping for like 30,100, but it's okay to get 30,400. And we are now very likely to get a daily MRI top. And the daily MRI top would come in on Monday, which would be super interesting. So right now, I am looking for a little bit more upside till Monday. And we're going to be pushing, like, say, 31.5 on Monday. And then here comes the 1 to 4 candle correction, which could potentially lead to something deeper. But I'm thinking just 1 to 4 candles. Where do I think it can go down to? Well, I think it can go down to this line. That would be a reasonable correction. Now, this line is actually pretty far. Going down to 29K from, say, 31.5 or 32K could take longer than 4 days. If it takes longer than 4 days, we could get an MRI top into an MRI bottom and then rally off of that. So I don't know how far we're going to go down, but this is going to be my, I mean, obviously the worst case scenario can be worse, but this is, I would say this is my bullish pessimistic scenario. So I'm still bullish, but this is a pessimistic drop. So up a few more days, then down, and then we go back up. So this is what my daily projection looks like at the moment. And then we go into 34. Now, this is the pessimistic version. An optimistic version of the same scenario would take us down only to here, halfway, like that. Okay, so that is a more optimistic way. I should put this candle here and this arrow here and this arrow there. This way, if we go a little bit lower, we could pull back a little bit lower, right? Or no, I'm gonna flip them. I am gonna do this like that. I want to make them like horizontal, like parallel. I don't know why it's not working for me. And then I know this looks weird as hell, but like that, right? Like this doesn't change. Like that. So these are my two they're both bullish scenarios, an optimistic bullish scenario and a pessimistic bullish scenario. Because there's also a bearish scenario which can take us all the way down to the moving average. That's a bearish scenario because it would go below this range. Does that make sense to people? Like so many people that are watching my videos that are not traders, and to them this shit is confusing, but to me this is totally normal. These are my two bullish scenarios, optimistic, pessimistic, but this is a borderline bearish scenario of going all the way down to the moving average, because that is trouble. Because if it goes down to the moving average, then on the rebound, it may hit resistance. And then take one more leg down into the next moving average and the support that it missed. And by then, this 128-day will already be up here. That's the pessimistic scenario. Sorry, that's the bearish scenario. So that's the bearish scenario, bullish, pessimistic, bullish, optimistic. Should I label these? Let's see which way it goes. I'm going to label them. Because, like, someone left a comment to yesterday's video, Tone, so what do you think is going to happen? I'm like, really? I could not be more specific yesterday as to what I thought was going to happen. So this is bullish, optimistic. I can't spell. I'm a dyslexic speller, so don't even comment on this. I have no idea how to spell optimistic. Like, I don't care if people make fun of me for spelling. Like, that's fine. I have 3 STEM degrees. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm terrible at. You make fun of me for spelling all you like. That's the bullish optimistic. This is the bullish pessimistic. Oh, good. It knows I misspelled it. Hey, there you go. Only I corrected it in the wrong place. How do you spell pessimistic? Pessimistic. There you go. Thank God for spell check. So this, I'll give it like a red outline or something. That's the bullish pessimistic. And this one is the bearish scenario. Bearish path. All right, so these are the 3 paths. I honestly think it's going to be the bullish optimistic. I'm sticking to bullish optimistic. I'm going to just turn this arrow into here and here. And I still think we go up into Monday. And then Monday, MRI top, and that's when shit starts to turn. And this should be red. Like red. There you go. To avoid clutter in the charts. All right, so let's see how it goes. Let's see what the path holds for Bitcoin. I mean, I missed the Ethereum train because I was never planning to get on the train, right? It's like, I've missed many trains. I miss a train to San Francisco every day. I don't want to get on it. I don't feel bad about missing a train to San Francisco. I don't know if there'll ever be a train coming back. there are good trading opportunities every day. Every day, there's always some penny stock on the pink sheet that goes up from 1 cent to 8 cents. I miss that opportunity every day. Hey, Doc Fugget. That's a funny comment. I don't know if I can say that, but that's funny. Just call it bullish, neutral, and bearish. Yeah, same thing. It's the same thing. Can I don't know what the hell that is, Andy. All right, next. Short-term chart. I really like this pullback this morning, and I think we're going higher. Beautiful break of this of the breakout on the hourly chart. We back tested it nicely, and now we rallied to a new all-time high, to a new swing high at 31 in the middle of the night in New York, and pull back down. You can see that GBTC is making new highs, new swing highs, and you can see the premium, the discount slowly lessening. That is what I've expected. I've actually expected this discount to go away faster. I'm very disappointed how slow the discount is going away. Very disappointed. Oil, as you guys know, I am bullish on oil once again, but there is plenty of oil in the U.S. Strategic Oil Reserve that they can, take down to zero. We can look at the monthly scale. It's just less scrolling. You can see how we've started depleting the U.S. Strategic Oil Reserve once again. So this is a complete disaster for the United States. The United States policy is a train wreck, speaking of trains. And as the Strategic Oil Reserve gets depleted, the U.S. becomes weaker from a military perspective. The comment yesterday was Tone, it looks like you're rooting for Russia and China. Well, the U.S. policy is making me pick winners and losers, right? Like I root for, generally, it makes sense to root for the winner. Like everyone loves the underdog, right? Everyone loves the underdog. China and Russia have been underdogs to take down America, and America is doing everything possible to take themselves down. So eventually, the U.S. is going down. Well, like with these policies, this is a disaster. The U.S. depletion of strategic oil reserve could actually destroy the United States, but they don't care, right? Because this would happen on Republicans' watch. So as long as the Republicans are the ones that are behind the wheel when the car crashes, it doesn't matter that the Republicans got put behind the wheel when the car was going, 300 miles an hour on a shitty road. So this is a disaster. It's a complete and utter disaster. Gas. Oh boy. I think natural gas is an amazing trade. Very soon. Maybe a few more weeks. Maybe next month. I'd wait for the weekly MRI. But man, I think natural gas is going to reverse with a vengeance. 4-hour chart. Let's see. Is that an MRI top? Oh, there it is. Beautiful. Beautiful. The 4-hour chart does very well with the MRI. You can see it right here. It definitely called the top for several days. The top came in the evening of the 10th, and we didn't make a new high until the morning of the 23rd, of the 13th. Sorry. So it took 3 days, 2.5 days, And now we have another MRI top. Yeah, so a pullback today down to 30,300. Very reasonable. Very, very reasonable. You know, you go down to here and then you go up. Very reasonable. New highs. New highs on Monday. I'm looking for 31.5 to 32 by Monday. And then Monday would be a short-term top. That's what I'm looking for. Tone, what month and year do you think Bitcoin cycle top is? I don't know. I have to open the monthly chart. I don't have a good. This is a monthly chart. I have to open the annual chart. I don't know if I have a Bitcoin annual chart. I was using the monthly chart for that, but I kind of. Let's talk about that another time. I need to get some higher, like monthly and yearly charts. Yeah, this 4-hour top. This 4-hour top could pull us down a few $100 today. Let's get to the S&P. Gold's looking good. Gold's looking bullish. But it's not going to give you a great percent return. Silver, not interesting. I'm going to close the silver chart. I just don't care. I sold a third of my silver. Needed the cash. S&P is looking great. Wow. Wow. That's a new weekly close high, and that makes me incredibly bullish. And that's great for Bitcoin too. Are we finally going to break the MRI resistance line? Are we finally going to do it? I hope we don't do it today. I hope we do it on Monday. The thing is, if the S&P rallies like a bandit next week, then the Bitcoin probably will not correct off the MRI top, and it will just keep going. So my optimistic scenario could be too pessimistic if the S&P just keeps going straight up on Monday. Do you think we'll see sub 20K ever? I don't. I mean, ever is a long time. But I don't. Look, anything can happen. Like, I think the probability of seeing below 20K is about the same as the probability of seeing below 1,000. The probability is about the same. It's not zero, but it's about the same. So if I say the probability of Bitcoin going below 1,000 is, say, 0.5%, then the probability of going below 20,000 is like 1%. Like, they're almost identical. Obviously, you have to go below 20K to go below 1,000K. But if we go below 20K at this point, I think Bitcoin is in serious trouble of not surviving, which is why I don't expect 20K. Maybe not at this point. I would say next year. After the next halving, Bitcoin below 20K puts the entire Bitcoin ecosystem in danger. And I know that Bitcoin purists think that's crazy, but it's not. A lot of Bitcoin maxis don't like me because I talk about price too much, but price matters. Like, if you are a developer in Bitcoin and you don't think price matters, you're just wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Price matters. So I will argue with any developer, whether it's Adam Back, whether it's Gregory Maxwell, I will argue with them that price matters. So now Bitcoin going below 20,000 after the next halving, which is 1 year away, is a problem, is a big, big problem. So this year, going below 20K, maybe I give it a 3% chance. But next year, going below 20K, less than 1%, which is about the same as going below 1K. Like, if we go below 20K next year, 1K is actually possible. What are your thoughts on the situation in Taiwan affecting the markets and ASIC manufacturers? I don't think it's that serious for ASIC manufacturers. There's bigger global issues with Taiwan than ASICs. Do you think at a certain point that Bitcoin cycle will speed up? No, I don't. Yeah. Oh. Hold on. So what would be a hyperwave? No, we'd have to take a look at the hyperwave thing after. Yeah, but Adam Back doesn't write Bitcoin code for the same reason Tone Vays doesn't trade on Bitcoin derivative exchanges. Too much, it's too dangerous. Like people ask me, Tone, where do you trade Bitcoin? My answer is I traded in Interactive Brokers with GBTC, right? It's too risky and too dangerous. Other American YouTubers can trade on anonymous derivative exchanges and Bitcoin, and they can get away with it. I can't, right? Same thing with Adam Back. Adam Back doesn't code Bitcoin for the same reason I don't trade Bitcoin publicly. It's one or the other, right? But if I didn't have this YouTube channel and I was anonymous completely, and no one knew who I was, yeah, I'd probably do it. Same thing with Adam Back. Maybe he codes it anonymously as somebody else, but again, too risky. He's too public of a person. So I want to show you this. I just have to I pull up this chart. It's one of my favorite charts. I didn't know what it was doing recently. CBOE stock. This is the weekly CBOE chart. Look at these 5 consecutive MRI tops. Starting with right here, this bull market in CBOE is insane. CBOE is the company that does options mostly and futures a little bit. But look at this breakout. Back in November of 2016, they broke out of this consolidation, and they went on a weekly scale for 5 consecutive MRI tops. And then literally on the 5th consecutive MRI top, they crashed 30% in 2 weeks. Incredible. They wiped out like 2 years worth of gains in 2 weeks in February 2018, just randomly. Beautiful chart, but look at it now. Right now, it's been consolidating since then, and it's about to break this high. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous chart. Absolutely gorgeous chart. So you take the low, 40%, flip it up. That's a potential target on CBOE stock. Beautiful chart. Beautiful chart. I don't want to look at Bitfarms anymore because I'm going to cry. Oh, we can look at the Ethereum scan. See how the Stalin update goes. I think it's going to struggle to break the moving averages, guys. I think it's going to struggle. I think it's going to struggle. But I do shit on Ethereum all the time. So you shouldn't take my views on Ethereum too seriously. I think it's going to struggle. I think it's going to struggle. I think it's going to piss off everyone that bought into the Stalin update. And then I think it's going to rise. And then all of the idiots that bought into the Stalin update will cut their losses here and then buy back in up here because they're going to say, ah, damn it, I was right all along. And that's when it'll go down. And then they think they're smart and they're going to double down here. And they'll go up a little bit. And they're going to think they're all smart, but they're not going to get back to break even. And then they're going to see this happen. So that's my path for Ethereum. Ethereum is on a monthly MRI 3 with a red star candle. That's bad. I think it's going down. It can go down earlier, but I think it's going down. All right. I don't really have much else. Whoa, they're really expecting the Fed to raise rates. So that's awesome, actually. And Bitcoin's been rising as the Fed is raising rates, and the S&P has been rising as the Fed is raising rates. So this once again goes to my accurate theory that interest rates have nothing to do with stock markets. I've always said this. Can you look at Litecoin? I mean, it's a shitcoin, guys. Why? Why do you care? Stop. Let it go. Let it go. I don't know why that's a green arrow. It needs to be a red arrow. It's going to new lows. The mining in Litecoin is going to collapse. Litecoin is going to go into a minor death spiral. It's done. It is done. When is the Litecoin halving? When is it? When is the Litecoin halving? Anybody know? Let's see. Tone, I understand why higher interest rates equal lower prices of existing bonds. Yes, but it should be attracting investors to buy new bonds or not. Maybe. That's the thing. Maybe. Could you explain why are you bearish for bonds? Right. Good question. That's a great question, actually. August. Okay, great. Let me put a label in. Put a label in. I'll just put it in August. This is the monthly chart. Okay, so I'll just put it on the month of August. I'll do weekly. Litecoin weekly. Wow, this is bad. This is really bad. Let me get a vertical line here in August. Having. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, it's going to destroy Litecoin. So that's a great question. Let's go to bonds. Let's talk bonds. So here is the 10-year rate. 10-year rate's creeping up. I expect it to creep up. Okay. Now here is the your question is very good, but it has multiple facets to it. Let's look at the weekly chart of bonds. And let's look at the monthly chart of bonds. Interest rate. Okay. So the interest rate bottoms with COVID. It breaks out in 2022. So let's look at the beginning of 2022 and the beginning of COVID. Now let's look at TLT, which is the bond ETF. Okay. So here is probably COVID, right? COVID. And here is February 22. So you can see that existing bonds drop in price when interest rates rise. And the longer your bond's maturity, the more you're screwed. Now, TLT is a 20-plus year treasury. So I should have been looking at the 20-year rate. This is the 5. I should probably have these in order. Right? So, and here. Okay. So I should probably be looking at the 20-year rate. The 20-year rate is what's really affecting the TLT, but it's actually the 10. It's weird. TLT follows the 10-year rate, not the 20-year rate. 20-year rate is just weird. So the 10-year rate is probably the biggest factor in TLT. I don't know why. Don't even ask me why. But they're way better correlated. So as interest rates rise, your current bond portfolio starts to crash in price. So that forces you to sell the bonds. What is the 2-year rate? That's a weird question. Like it's the rate on a 2-year bond. I don't even have that up here. I just have the 5-year. We can pull up the 2-year. US, is it 0.2? I just remove something? Okay. And this is also weird. Anyway, I'm gonna stick to this. Where did 20-year go? 20-year just disappeared. US 20-year. There it is. Okay. There's your 2-year rate. Okay. Maybe it was the 2-year, not 20. Anyway, here's the 20. Okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. Here's the 20-year. I don't know why it starts here. I don't know. Just 20 years is just weird. That was a 2-year, not 20. My bad. You never had the 20. That was the 2. Okay, that was my fault. I saw a 2. I thought it was 20. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. 20-year rate is just weird. It's the 10. The 10-year matters, guys. The only rates that matter are 2, 5, 10, and 30. Like the 20-year is just weird. So anyway, you get the point. So if you're currently holding bonds and interest rate starts to rise, you need to dump those bonds on the open market. So someone else has to buy those bonds at a shitty rate of return. Now, the new bonds have a way better rate of return. But the question is, why do they have a better rate of return? See, the new bonds for a 10-year are now at 3.5%, right? Now, normally, you have 2 friends, right? One friend is incredibly responsible. You know for a fact he's going to pay you the money back if you give him a loan, right? Or just think of it this way, right? You're going to buy a house and your friend's going to buy a house. You have a good job, you have good credit, you're going to get a very low interest rate. Your friend is a high-risk borrower. So what happens? Well, the bank is going to demand he pays more interest rate. So when interest rate rises, in a way, it's signaling to the market that the United States is not a good borrower, because it is not a good lender. Because if lending money to the United States was actually risk-free, the interest rate you get would be smaller. Okay? This is why nobody wants to buy European debt, because they're in a shittier position than the US and they have a lower interest rate, which you have to be an idiot, right? And the only people buying European debt are European central banks because they're idiots. So that's why. So to answer your second part of your question, why wouldn't more people borrow money from the US government if they're now getting a higher interest rate? Because a higher interest rate signals that the US is no longer as good of a borrower, and the probability of you getting this money over the next 10 years is lower, or they're going to print the shit out of it, and now the inflation is going to tick up, right? So a high interest rate signals to the market that you are not creditworthy, that you are, a deadbeat. And that's why, just because the rate went up, it doesn't like I trust the US government a lot less today than I did in 2019. And it's not even close, right? Like in 2019, I was very patriotic and very bullish on the America's future. I was very confident in the United States in 2019. Okay. And at that time in 2019, the interest rate was like 2%, right? It did go up to 3.5%. So this would be the perfect scenario. I can borrow money from the United States, or I can lend money to the United States, and I can receive a 3.25% return on that money in an environment where I am super confident in the US. I'm also convinced that Trump's going to win again, and the United States economy is going to do amazingly well, right? Then push us back 3 years, and I am as pessimistic on the United States as I've ever been in my life. Like back here, I think the United States is going to rule the world for 100 years. And here, I think the United States is going to collapse this decade, right? So my confidence in the US has completely changed 180 degrees. Meanwhile, the interest rate is about the same. So why in the world would I lend money to the United States today at 350 when I have very pessimistic view of America, when I could have lent it for almost the same interest rate 4 years ago, when I was as optimistic as I've ever been on America? And that's the difference. That's why a higher interest rate does not necessarily draw in more capital. China army recently said that Russia is too passive without Soviet leaders. It's not about Soviet leaders. Putin is very, very pained. Like Putin doesn't want to destroy Ukraine. He wants to capture it, or at least Russian-speaking and Russian-leaning parts of Ukraine. Anyone, like the next 10 guys in line to take Putin's place would have shot a tactical nuke at Kiev by now, and Lvov, and maybe other cities. So China's not wrong, but it's not about the Soviet leaders. It's about Putin being one of the most measured, most calm presidents of Russia humanly possible. Because any other guy would have lost his shit by now. All right, so that's it for me. I know people wanted my update on the Russia-Ukraine situation. Ukraine's fucked. That's my update. They lost Bakhmut. Bakhmut's done. They lost, I don't know, 20, 30,000 soldiers here. It's not fully over yet, but I think this map's wrong. I think Russia already has. I don't know how to draw on this chart very well. I think Russia is already at the railroad. I think this is already captured. I don't think Ukraine has an ability to like get troops out. I mean, the goal for Russia, I think I already explained what their goals are. Their goal is going to capture the territories that they've declared to be Russia. And you want to, shorten your front line. The shortest distance between 2 points is a line. So they want to capture this area so that it's easy to defend a straight line. In reality, see this border? They consider that their land. So they're going to capture this border. But that's priority 1. Avdiivka is priority 2. Again, how do you get your troops out? The Ukrainian troops are stuck right here. How do you get out? They're going to get bombed to shit as they try to leave. So they're done. They're screwed. So the priority 2 is this. Again, you want the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That's priority 2. Shorten your line. Can you you need 5 times more troops to defend this area than this straight line. So that's priority 2. And priority 3 is to make sure the counteroffensive by Ukraine towards Crimea fails. So priority 3, and there's 2 paths here, right? One is them going into here, into Crimea, which is very, very challenging, by the way. The reason Ukraine can't take Crimea is because this area here is not passable. Like, you can't attack Crimea through this. This is you look at the land. Look at this. You can't pass here ever. Like, historically, for the last 1,000 years, you cannot go over this land. The only way to attack Crimea is through a little opening right here. So it's the only way to attack Crimea. This way, right? And in order to do that, like, it doesn't matter if you have a 1,000,000-man army. You can only go with a few people at a time, like 1,000 at a time. And then Russia sets up artillery all through here, and then you just get bombed the shit out of it. Like, you will lose 8 or 10 troops to 1 trying to take Crimea. It's not possible. It's just not possible. Now, Ukraine, what they really want to do is they want to take out the Crimea Bridge, because without the Crimea Bridge, Russia can't supply this area in order to kill them at a 10-to-1 ratio. 10 Ukrainians for every 10 Ukrainians for every Russian dies. Now, if they cut the bridge, then Russia will have problems supplying it. But how do they cut the bridge? So either US has to give them longer range weapons, and I think they're trying to hit the bridge from Odessa. And if they're able to hit the bridge from Odessa, then, okay, how do I stop this? Okay. Jesus, I'm terrible with these things. Escape, okay. Ignore all those lines. I don't know how to clear them either. Clear, right. If they hit the bridge, if they start hitting the bridge from Odessa, then Russia is going to be on a mission to destroy Odessa, which is bad. I really like Odessa. Russia would rather capture Odessa because there's a lot of Russians there, or Russian speakers there. So the other way Ukraine is trying to destroy this bridge and get a nice port in the process is to go this way. Again, another Ukrainian offensive, which Russia needs to stop as their strategy. So priority 3, after capturing those cities, is to prevent a Ukrainian offensive along the Zaporozhye region and along the Kherson region. Those are priorities. And if they stop these offensives, like if Ukraine makes it down to the water here, to the Black Sea, then Russia has a problem on multiple fronts. One, Russia gets cut off from supplying. Russia gets cut off from supplying their troops this way, and all of this area can easily be lost. And the other issue is that now Ukraine would have plenty of weapons to destroy the Crimea bridge from here. And if they destroy the Crimea bridge, that opens up the possibility of Ukraine continuing this offensive and actually making it through the Crimea Pass, right here. But they will still lose probably 5 soldiers to every Russian trying to take Crimea, and I still don't think they'll pull it off. Like I don't think they'll have enough humans left willing to fight. So Ukraine has a problem. Ukraine has a problem. Meanwhile, I don't think Russia is going to take Kharkov. So after that, so priority 1, finish Bakhmut. Priority 2, take Avdiivka, and they're close. Priority 3, prevent the Ukraine offensive. And priority 4 is to recapture the zones. The zones that Russia is claiming is now Russia. So you can see the outline here. So that becomes priority 4. The hard one is going to be the Kherson region, because again of the river. So next priority is this. You see the line, you see the border, right? I'm just going to follow the border here, like this border. Oh boy. Let's go this way. Like that becomes priority 4. Like capture the area that Russia claims to be Russia. So I'm not sure what that borderline is. You have to look at your Google map. That's priority 4 for Russia. And like I said, the hard one is going to be this. This is going to be the hardest one to capture. This is going to be easier. Like this is also land Russia is saying is now Russia. Right here up to the Dnieper, or maybe up to here. So this is going to be a lot easier to capture because they can get there by land. You know, like that, like this whole area. The hard one is going to be this because of the river, because of the water. So this is going to be the hardest one. This. The Kherson region. That's going to be the hardest one. So that becomes the next priority, right? If Russia is saying this area is Russia, it needs to, be controlled by Russia. So it's embarrassing if it's embarrassing to China if they can't do it, right? And then that's priority 4. And then if Ukraine does not surrender by then, or it doesn't come to the negotiating table, then the next stage for Russia, in my opinion, is they're going to capture the Mykolaiv region, and they couldn't care less about the Mykolaiv region, but they need to capture the Mykolaiv region in order to then capture Odessa region. And Odessa region is very important for Russia because it creates a land bridge to Transnistria, and it takes away Ukraine's last port, and now they landlock Ukraine. And at that point, Ukraine's done. At that point, Ukraine's going to cut a deal with Poland, and half of it is going to go to Poland. At the end of the day, if I pull up that chart, again, this is all my opinion. All my opinion. I'm going to end the video in 2 minutes. I just have one more chart to pull up. This chart. At the end of the day, Russia already has the two regions here. Actually, I'm not sure where Kharkiv is. Oh, damn. See, I'm not sure where Kharkiv is on the. I don't know. I'm sure if Kharkiv is here or here. I already forgot. I wish they had Kharkiv on this map. So, but basically, this is Odessa. This is Mykolaiv. This is Kherson. This is Zaporozhye. This is Donetsk. That's Lugansk. And this could be Kharkiv. So after that, they might take the Kharkiv region. And if Ukraine still doesn't come to the negotiating table, they might take, this is the Dnieper River. They might take everything up to the Dnieper River. Russia has zero interest in taking West Ukraine. You can see that they would have 5% support, if even. They would have zero support from current occupiers of this region for Russia to be here. They would have, and it's less than that actually. This is an old chart. This is 2003. So I would remove, say, at least 10% from these regions. So they would have zero support trying to take this region. So they're not going to do it. They would have maybe 10 to 15% support to take the center of Ukraine. So they don't want it. Like, nobody wants to rule over a population that doesn't want them. Now, here in these regions, Russia still has a lot of support from the locals that live there, contrary to what the West propaganda will tell you. But over here, it's neutral, and it's probably leaning more Ukrainian now. In 2003, this would have been leaning more Russia, but now it's leaning a little more Ukrainian. So I would say this is like maybe 45% Russian speaking. So, and not that Russian speaking mandates that you're pro-Russia. It has nothing to do with that. But they would continue to create a bigger buffer, right? Like, for example, if the west of Ukraine suddenly becomes Poland, now NATO comes up to this line. So Russia is going to want a bigger buffer. So they're going to take east center of Ukraine. But I don't think they're going to take Kiev. I don't think they want Kiev. Kiev is like that neutral area. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get going. There's my Russia update. I think it's going terribly for Ukraine. And the sooner they come to the negotiating table, the better. But there's zero chance of that happening. So Ukraine's going to end up losing more people. I mean, America is really fighting Russia till the last Ukrainian dies. And it's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, look, if Ukraine comes to the negotiating table, they may even get to keep Odessa. But if Russia captures all of, like, if Russia completes part 4, again, part 1, what do you call it? Bakhmut. Part 2, Avdiivka. Part 3, prevent the Ukrainian offensive. Part 4, capture all of the Russian regions that they're claiming is Russia. If Russia has completed all 4 of those parts, and Ukraine is not negotiating, they're going to lose Odessa. Like, Ukraine has to come to the negotiating table and comply with all Russian demands in order to keep Odessa. Otherwise, Odessa's gone. And if after Odessa's gone, if Ukraine still doesn't come to the negotiating table, now they're going to lose Kharkiv and potentially everything east of the river. So it sucks for Ukraine. Why would Poland want a piece of Ukraine? That's a very good question. Polish people don't want Ukraine, but Polish politicians do. And that's a whole different discussion. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all on the next one.